What's up, everybody? It's Grim, and you're watching Thrash Maniac 99 Wrestling, Gaming, and Metal videos. Hit the real intro.
What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to another episode of the Mosh Pit Reviews presented by Thrash Maniac 99. Now, quick update for you guys as far as the future of the Mosh Pit Reviews, because if I end up getting hired by a job that I applied for, I may not be able to do album reviews as frequently as I usually do, but you never know what could happen. But as far as the What Else Came Out This Week video series, that's going to be no more. So if you guys want to see like quick typed out reviews, just follow me on Twitter anytime I listen to a new album that isn't being reviewed on this channel. Will be given a very short to the point review over on my Twitter at ThrashManiac99. So go to Twitter, follow me at ThrashManiac99 if you want to see additional album reviews from here on out that are not being presented on YouTube. But for today's episode of the Mosh Pit Reviews, probably right now the biggest album to come out in 2019, and it's from the pioneers of death metal, arguably the pioneers of death metal, Possessed, and their first album in 33 years entitled Revelations of Oblivion. Now, little history lesson for you guys who may not be familiar with this band. Possessed is a heavy metal band that formed in San Francisco, California in 1983, and they're often heralded as the pioneering band of death metal music. Now, there's a lot of debate out there as to whether or not they were 100% death metal or they were just a proto-death metal band. If you ask me personally, while very influential on the genre of death metal, they are to death metal what Venom was to black metal. A proto-band that wasn't quite there. Whereas in Venom's case, you had Bathory pretty much picking up their torch and perfecting the sound. Whereas in Possessed case, you had Death, who perfected the sound of death metal. So you could say Possessed are the first death metal band, or the proto-death metal band, with pretty much... I mean, they're basically a thrash band that influenced what became death metal and coined the term death metal with the song Death Metal off their debut album Seven Churches, and a demo the year prior called Death Metal. And of course, Possessed had a couple of great albums in the 80s. Their debut Seven Churches, arguably one of the all-time classics of extreme metal. Beyond the Gates was a great follow-up in my opinion, and even the Eyes of Horror EP was really, really strong as well. But after 1987, the band broke up, and also noteworthy, their old lineup, their classic lineup of the 80s featured Larry Lalonde of the band Primus. When he was in his mid to late teens, he was playing in Possessed before he went to join Les Claypool for Primus. Now, after 87, tragedy struck. Frontman and bassist Jeff Becerra was shot during a robbery and was paralyzed from the waist down, so he can't play bass anymore. But here's the thing with Jeff. He, in my opinion, should be one of the most respected people in the history of heavy metal, because the band reunited in 2007 with a new lineup, with only Jeff being the only original member the only original member to reform the band. Everyone else were new guys from bands like Sadistic Intent, or so on and so forth. But the point I'm making with the respect Jeff should get, he goes out, tours the world, playing festivals, singing while in a wheelchair, where in a day where pop stars, if they get sick, they'll just cancel. Jeff goes up in a wheelchair and performs just as hard, if not harder, than any other metal frontman out there. So, total respect for Jeff Becerra. But over the last couple of years, it was reported that Possessed was going to be making their first album in 3 decades. It was supposed to have been released last year, but it got delayed, and it's finally here, Revelations of Oblivion. So, the first couple of singles that were released, the first one, No More Room in Hell, probably one of the best singles of 2019 so far. The second single, Shadow Cult, not quite as strong, but still a very good track. Now, to me, what really makes this album shine isn't the singles. It's the songs in between. Like, you had 3 straight D-letter songs. You had Dominion, Damned, and Demon, which in my opinion were the 3 strongest songs on the whole album. Particularly Damned and Demon, those 2 tracks, back to back, amazing death metal, thrash metal attack, or death thrash as more people would probably call it. As you get further into the album, the song Omen, which was nearly 7 minutes long, started off fairly strong. However, in my opinion, it was the weakest song of the album. It's like after that intro, it didn't go very many places. However, the guitar solo in that song was one of the more memorable guitar solos on the album. It's just the song as a whole didn't quite grab me as much as the other tracks on the album. The later on in the album, the song, I believe it's called The Word. Let me double check. Yeah, The Word. I got reference off stuff to really remember because sometimes my mind goes blank. But the song The Word sounded like a tribute Possessed was making to the Swedish death metal scene with the guitar tuning, the sound, even though it wasn't with the Boss HM2 pedal. It still sounded very, very similar to Carcass and Entombed and those European death metal bands that used that B standard guitar tuning. So it sounded like Possessed was paying tribute to their followers that came years after Seven Churches and Beyond the Gates was released. So you could definitely tell that Possessed is definitely humbled to be given the credit by all these other bands and musicians to being arguably the first death metal band, and they're showing that they appreciate the love and support these people have given Jeff and created a song in tribute to the European death metal scene, which was really cool. Now, the first and last tracks, the intro and outro tracks, were very well executed. That sort of set the mood for this album, this eerie, occult, evil sound that this album really projected. Vocally speaking, like, Jeff Becerra may be a huge influence on the death metal vocal style. However, if you ask me, he's like a combination of Lemmy, Kronos from Venom, and Paul Bailoff of Exodus. It's like that triple fusion of those 3 vocalists really coming together into forming what Jeff's voice was back in the 80s and still is today. So, total props to Jeff's vocals on this album. They are well executed. The drum work, top-notch. Guitar work, the solos were one of the strong points of this album. And the bass, for me, the bass isn't quite as prominent as I would have liked it to be, but still, the production was fairly well done. However, probably could have been a little bit better. And with that being said, this is a pretty strong album, a strong comeback for Possessed. I'd love to see them make another album in the future and see where they go next. And for that reason, I give this album a 33 out of 40. Not quite Album of the Year contender worthy, but still, don't sleep on this album. It's a really good album, highly recommend. Possessed is back. Not the same Possessed as they were in the 80s, but still competent and fun to listen to. But what did you guys think of Revelations of Oblivion? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. We're only just getting started with the month of May. There are so many albums coming out this month. And from big bands or classic bands like Dark Throne, Death Angel, Diamond Head, Saint Vitus, and even some new blood like Flesh God Apocalypse, and so many others. It's going to be very, very busy for music. But anyways, thank you for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you soon.